Hello, how are you all? So, welcome back again to another live session for sociology. So, today we are going to discuss some of the important MCQs which will be required for your upcoming CUET. So, as likewise as every class, I am again going to say that practicing MCQ is the most important thing to be successful in the exam, because your exam is going to be conducted by NTA, and NTA is not going to give you a very simple question. They are going to complicate the answers. Okay, they are going to confuse you with the options. So that is why, in order to actually score very well in your upcoming CUET, you have to practice MCQ. And that is the reason why I believe the more and more you spend time with your MCQs, the more and more closer you get towards your destination. Okay, so a lot of students, they ask me that they do not understand very few minute questions in sociology, because sociology is a very tricky subject, and you cannot have a very you cannot have a very definite definition of anything which is discussed in sociology. So that is why a lot of students, while reading the NCERT books, they cannot find the relationship between different chapters. They cannot find the relationship between different topics, because they find it very difficult to understand. So that is why I have come up with some of the important MCQs, because it is through MCQs only you will be able to understand concepts. Okay, so let's start. See, the first question that is asking is, British colonialism still lives in India. Which among the following example best represent the statement? So, what is the question saying? That British colonialism is still living in India. So it is giving you a number of options, and you have to identify which of the following options best represent the statement. So let us see what the options are saying. A roadside food stall in India selling bread omelette. A school uniform that has a necktie. Then number C, a normal office goer wishes everyone good morning. And number D, all of the above. So before answering all these type of questions, the first thing you have to understand is the term called colonialism. Okay, so we have understood that colonialism means establishing one rule of a country over another. But there are also other aspects of colonialism. It's not just establishment of a rule of one country. There are a lot of cultural, social and economic aspects which are associated with. Okay, now let's take the example of English language. Let's say we take the example of English language. Now I am teaching you in English. Okay, and most of you, I believe at least 90% of the students, they understand English. They like to talk in English, and we like to use some of the English word in our day-to-day conversations also. And in a society like India, if you know how to speak in English, if you deliver your speeches in English, if you like to conversate in English, then only you are considered to be a very well educated piece. Okay, people like to talk to you when you try to communicate in English. So that is the level of understanding we have with a foreign language. We can say that English is a foreign language, but it has been given to us by the forces of colonialism. It was introduced to us by the colonial masters, but we have taken that to be part of our same culture. So that is how we say that English language is a continuation of the colonialism in India. So like English language, what else do you think is the continuation of the British colonialism in India? The first option, if you read very carefully, you will see that the term bread is given here. The term bread. Have you ever heard of any Indian before the coming of British having bread? If you read books which are prior to the, if you read people who have, written books prior to the coming of British colonialism, you will never find the use of the word bread, because people in India never had bread, because people in India always had what? They had rice, they had roti, okay, they had bajra, they had all those kind of cereals. but we never had bread in our breakfast. But now if you go anywhere, if you go to any Indian, if you visit any Indian family, you will see that in the morning breakfast, most of them will be having bread omelette. So why is that? Because the British has infused in us that bread is a very good breakfast, and that people have started copying the Britishers. And when people started copying the Britishers, what they have done is they have also copied the British lifestyle, and that is how bread omelette has become a very normal thing for us. So we can say that bread omelette, a roadside food stall which is selling bread omelette, is actually the representation of continuation of the British colonialism in India. Now let's move on to option number 2, a school uniform that has a necktie. The word necktie is here. Indians never used to wear necktie. What is our traditional dress? Our traditional dress can be a mekhla chadar. It can be, it can be a sari. It can be a dhoti, but never a necktie. We have never used a necktie in any of our traditions. But the school where our students go to learn, that particular school has infused a uniform in the students which is completely foreign, which is completely British in nature. So we can say this is also a continuation of British colonialism. The next option is a normal office goer wishes everyone good morning. Do you wish people good morning? Do you? I wish people good morning. I wish people good afternoon. I do not say namaskar. Very rarely I actually greet people with namaskar. Most of you don't do it. Most of you, what do? You use the word good morning. So you see what we are doing. We are in our day-to-day conversations also. We are trying to have the imprint of British colonialism in our culture. So that is why we can say that even option C is also the continuation of the British colonialism. So likewise, since A, B, C has become all correct, we can say that option D is the correct answer. So your correct answer would be option number D, which says all of the above. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Which among the following statement is incorrect? So here there is a small typing mistake. I hope you will not mind this. This is a typing mistake. The incorrect word, there should not be any hyphen here, but it's just a small mistake, minor mistake. Okay, so don't look at it. So now you see which among the following is incorrect. That is the incorrect statement, not the correct statement. A lot of students, what they do is they go and look at the question, they go and look at the option first, and they don't even see the question, and whatever they find is correct, they go and mark it. Don't do this, because sometimes the question may also be asked about the incorrect statement. Now let's see which is the incorrect one. Colonialism means establishment of rule of one country over another. Is it? Yes, definitely it is, because in the last slide, in the last question, I have already explained that colonialism means establishment of rule of one country over another. So this takes us to the correct statement. So according to the statement, this is correct, but according to the question, this is incorrect. So this will be our incorrect answer according to the question. Okay, now let's move on to option number B. What option number B is saying? The empire building of pre-capitalist times and the capitalist times were not so different. Empire building of pre-capitalist times. Pre-capitalist times means the times when the capitalism was a very minimal state. Okay, it was not in a huge, it was not built as a huge structure. So we all know that capitalism has started only after the Industrial Revolution. Okay, it began after Industrial Revolution. So prior to Industrial Revolution, there was existence of a capitalist culture, but it was not so like in the modern capitalist sense. Okay, so earlier, why the Britishers came to India and why they stayed here? Because they had a larger capitalist motive. Their motive was to earn profit. Earn profit by what? Earn profit by interfering in our structures and changing the structure according to the profit of the Britishers. That is why they came and they meddled with our economy. They changed the entire economic structure of India because they wanted to amass as much profit as they can. But the pre-capitalist times, the pre-capitalist times, their motive was not forever profit making. Their motive was just amassing of wealth. Okay, the motive in pre-capitalist times were just amassing wealth. That is, they have to capture wealth. They have to capture as much wealth as they can. So that is why the kings, which in the earlier days when there was kings and queens, the king used to go to another kingdom. He will raid the kingdom and he will carry whatever the treasures he could find. He is not going to meddle with their political or their economic structure. He is just going into the kingdom and he is ravaging the kingdom and finding whatever the treasure he is taking back with him. So that was the difference between the pre-capitalist time and the capitalist time. So I hope you understood, but the statement was saying that we're not so different, not so different. Was it? No, it was a totally different structure, because the capitalist growth of the modern day meddled with the economic and cultural structure of the society. But the pre-capitalist time, it did not meddle with the cultural or economic structure. So we can say that this statement is incorrect, but it is correct according to the question which is asked. So our correct answer according to the question is option number B. So since we have time, let's discuss the option number C as well. Colonialism has led to movement of people from one place to another. Is it true? Yes, definitely it is true. In Assam only you will see that large tea garden laborers, they are not the indigenous tribe of this place. They were brought here by the Britishers. So you see, colonialism has led to movement of people. So in this way, this is a correct statement, but incorrect according to the question. Changes introduced by colonial structure were not always deliberate. The term deliberate means it is something which actually done with your own consciousness. Jani buzi kora. Okay, that is the term which is used for deliberate. So colonialism has never always done the changes deliberately. There were some changes, for example, like nationalism. Nationalism means when the whole country started protesting against the British government. Okay, there was lot of movement against the British colonialism. Colonialism never promoted nationalism. They never in fact wanted people to protest against them. But despite this, there was lot of a nationalist movement growing up, because there was emergence of a middle class section which emerged because of the colonial structures of modern education. So that is why we can say that some of the changes introduced in the colonial period were not deliberate. Okay, so we have got our correct answer according to the question. Now let's move on to question number 3. The advent of the railways in Bengal introduced which of the following? So now the railways have come to Bengal, and now what is the change that is going on in introduce which of the following changes? Forest policy in Assam, missionaries in Assam, British governance in Assam, and all of the above. See, this is a very tricky question, because advent of railways, you can see there is no link of all these things with the railways. So we can say that all of the above cannot be the correct answer. Why? Because if you look at option number C, British governance in Assam. British governance in Assam started right away in the year 1826 with the Treaty of Yandabu, right? With the Treaty of Yandabu, that's where when the British administration first laid its governance in Assam. Okay, so British governance cannot have a direct link with the railways in Bengal. So since we have to omit this out, we cross this out, so option number D itself will be omitted, because here option C is the wrong answer. So option D itself will automatically cancel. Now we are left with two choices, option A and B. Now see, missionaries in Assam. Missionaries in Assam has always existed. When? Even when British governance in Assam started, when Britishers, after the Treaty of Yandabu, they established their administration in Assam, right away what happened? British missionaries came to Assam for propagation of Christianity, right? So this might look a probable answer, but since the question is asking in terms of railways, so we can cancel this out itself. So we are left with the forest policy in Assam. Now I will tell you what is the link between the forest policy and introduction of railways. You see, abundance of forest in the northeast, when they first came to northeast, when the Britishers first landed in Assam, when they first came to Assam, they saw abundance of forest. And forest means what? If you have forest, then you have abundance of resources, right? You have abundance of resources, and where there is resources, you will always have a capitalist structure, because a capitalist structure will always try to take control of the resources. Now there is a forest, and those forests were occupied by some of the tribals. And now the Britishers, they want to amass this forest, they want to take control of this forest. But in those forests, there were a lot of tribals which were living. So what the Britishers did, they actually started something called as reserve forest, a concept called reserve forest. Because when they will make the forest as a reserve category, it is then they will be able to take control of the entire forest. Okay, and when they will take control of the entire forest, they will get access to the resources, and when they will get access to the resources, they will be able to export. They will be able to export vast amount of resources back to England. That is why for the first time they have introduced railways, so that they can take all those exports back to England. They can transport the exports, they can transport the resources, and then they can export it to England. So when this forest resources was first discovered, that's how the reserve forest came into being. The Britishers introduced this to take control of the forest. Okay. Okay, so we have got our correct answer is the forest policy in Assam. Okay, the introduction of the reserved forest category. Question number 4, the Britishers carried people from Bihar to work in plantation fields as laborers to which country? So, you have seen that there was a lot of migration of laborers during the time of British colonialism. Not only inside India, but you will find a lot of laborers who were actually transported from places. From India to a different place, from different place to India they were brought. Okay, all these are actually some sort of effects of the British colonialism. Now the question is asking a particular place called Bihar. They were laborers in Bihar, and they were transported to work in plantation fields as laborers to which of the following country? Now you see a lot of laborers from Bihar also were transported to some other country. Now to which country you have to identify? Let's see the options. First is the Trinidad and Tobago, second is Jamaica, third is Mauritius, and the fourth is none. In this case, our correct answer would be Mauritius. If today you go to Mauritius, you will find a lot of people who have descendants in Bihar. You will meet a lot of people there in Mauritius. So these people have traveled to Mauritius not now, but during the forces of colonialism at its peak under British colonialism. Okay, and for what? They were traveled, or they were transported as laborers to work in which plantation? In Mauritius, there is sugar plantation. There is sugar plantations. In Jamaica also you will get sugar. Okay, in Trinidad and Tobago you will get sugar and cotton. So to work in all these cash crops, the Britishers, they took laborers from to and fro from different countries. Okay. Number 5, capitalism in the West emerged due to which of the following reasons? This is a very simple question. Anybody who is preparing for upcoming CUET will be able to answer this in a fraction of a second. Capitalism in the West emerged because exploration of the world, growth of science and technology, separation of church and state, and all of the above. In this case, what we can do is, there will be some students who will get confused with option number C, separation of church and state. So I must tell you that separation of church and state basically deals with the secularism. That is, the state, the church or the religion is no longer associated with the government. There is separation of religion and separation of politics. The term secularism is used to describe this particular thing. So there is a particular book which was written by Max Weber. The name of the book is Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. If you have time, you can read this book, and there Max Weber says that because of the interference of the church in the governance or in the market, what those businessmen in Britain used to do, they took the ship and then they went to US. They went there and they inhabited United States, present United States. Okay, they went there just because of the interference of the church, and that's how the Protestants, they have settled in that land, because of the immense interference of church with the state. So you see what capitalism has risen. Capitalism has more and more risen with the separation of the church and state, that now the church has no longer control over the activities of the government. Even if the government is trying to spread capitalism elsewhere, the church will not be able to see anything. So that's why this option is also the correct. Now we will see, since we have the option number D here, all of the above, we have to see the rest of the options as well. Option number 1 is exploration of the world. Definitely. There is a movie, no, Pirates of the Caribbean. There you will see Jack Sparrow is always there, is always motivated by those British colonists. Okay, they always have something to find, they always have something to deal with, they always have a business. So that's how the exploration of the world is related with capitalism. This is true. And then growth of science and technology. Definitely, because earlier it was not very easy to navigate the seas. But with the coming of technology, even with ships, those colonizers, they could navigate through the sea and then they could find the new routes to market. So that's why, since all the 3 options are correct, we can say the option number D is the correct answer, all of the above. Option number 6, industrialization of British India saw decline of which of the following cities? So industrialization of British India saw decline of which of the following cities? We can say okay, there's some confusion. Okay, industrialization of British India saw decline of which of the following cities? We can say in this, because when the British introduced industrialization, then there was something in India which was happening. It's called as deindustrialization. Deindustrialization means there was lot of silk, and cotton industries which actually got destroyed due to introduction of Manchester capitalism. Okay, Manchester capitalism. That's why we say there was a huge wave of deindustrialization in India. But there were also some of the states which emerged as a center of industrialization. But the question is asking about decline. So in this case, our correct answer would be Surat. Okay, Surat is a city which got declined due to the deindustrialization process, due to industrialization of the Western. So industrialization in west of the British and industrialization of India was a totally different thing at that point of time. So British industrialization led to decline of a lot of indigenous industries in India, and one of those centers was Surat at that point of time. Okay. Now, in which year Fort Williams was established? So why Fort Williams was established? Fort Williams was established as a trading. Okay, first they wanted to establish a trading post. Okay, they wanted to establish a trading post, and in the year 1690, they actually leased 3 villages. Okay, they leased 3 villages. One was Kolikata, one was Sutanoti, and the third one I am not able to recall the name. But you see, the trading post which they wanted to first create in the year 1690, and through that process they first started with the then they came to Fort William. So Fort William was a trading post which was established near the river Hooghly, and it was well fortified. Okay, so the correct answer will not be in the year 1690. The correct answer would be 1698, because in the year 1690 they decided they decided to establish a trading post by buying or by leasing 3 villages near Hooghly. 3 villages near Hooghly. Okay, so this was the year in which they leased 3 villages, and through these 3 villages, occupying those villages, they actually established Fort William in the year 1698. So 1690 is the year when they leased these villages to establish a trading port. Okay. Number 8, tea industry began in India in which year? Tea industry began in India in which year? There are a lot of students from Assam who should know this answer. Tea industry began in the year, option number B, 1851. And in which place this tea industry began for the first time? It began in the district of Dibrugarh. Okay, because the Britishers, when they first landed in Assam, when they first came to Assam, they saw the soil and they saw the environment, and they found out that tea is the best thing which could be produced in this land. And the Britishers were always interested in growing cash crops. Okay, not agriculture crops, but rather cash crops, the crops which will bring them money. So that's why they were interested in cultivating tea. And the first tea plantation, the first tea industry was established in the year 1851 in the district of Dibrugarh. Okay. Now let's move on to question number 9. What was the basic objective of Assam Labour and Emigration Bill of 1901? So in 1901, the Britishers, they passed a bill called Assam Labour and Emigration Bill. Labour and emigration, both the words are there. The word labour is also there and the word emigration is also there. See, the person is used as a labour and he will also be used as a labour, not in his own place but in a place which is in a different land. The person will be used as a labour in a different land. Okay, so that was the bill. So now let's see what was the basic objective of this. To bring labourers to Assam permanently, to bring labourers to Assam as slaves, to bring labourers to Assam as indentures, and all of the above. So which one should be the correct answer? Now before answering that question, you have to understand the term called indentures. Now what is indenture? Indenture means a system of contracts. Okay, system of contracts. Now this particular labour bill, what it did, in the tea industry which was established by the Britishers, those tea industries were established in a very hilly areas, and the communication was very bad at that point of time. It was a very secluded place and there was not very much population, and it was a very secluded place. So what those tea labourers, they have to do is they had to come there and work, but not many were actually ready to go and work on those plantations. Okay, because they found the place filled with diseases, because the environment was very different for these labourers. Those labourers were actually brought as slaves from places like Jharkhand, and their environment and our environment is totally different. A lot of labourers used to die here. So that is why not many of them wanted to come and actually do work here. Okay, but what the Britishers did later on, they found out that since the labourers, after doing a work, let's say about 1 year or 2 years, they used to go back. They used to run away from those plantations, and the tea gardener, the tea planter, the manager used to suffer a huge financial losses because of the lack of labour to work on those fields. So what the Britishers did, they passed something called Assam Labour and Emigration Bill, which was specially designed to bring labourers as contracts. That is, one labourer, he has to work in the tea plantation for at least 4 years. Okay, he has to work in the tea plantation for at least 4 years. And if he is not able to perform for at least 4 years, then that particular labour would be jailed. Okay, if you are not able to perform your duty for at least 4 years and give as much which is necessary for the growth of the tea industry, you will be jailed. So that's why this particular Assam Labour and Emigration Bill was passed. to bring the laborers to Assam as indentures in the form of contracts, so that they will work for at least 4 years, and then the manager or the entire tea garden or the entire tea industry will not have to suffer huge financial losses. Okay. But did they stay as a contractor? No, they did not stay as a contractor. After 4 years also, they had to continue working as laborer, and even today we see that we are living or coexisting together. Now the last question is, which English merchant leased Kolkata for establishment of British trading port? Now you must be actually finding it very funny that I have written the name of Calcutta as Kolkata, but at that point of time this particular city was actually, the name was written as Kolkata. Okay. Now you have to identify which among the following English merchant leased Kolkata for establishment of British trading post. I was asking a question about Fort William, and there I was specially mentioning that 3 villages were leased for the establishment of a trading port near the Hooghly, right, and one of them was Kolkata. Now who leased it? Who among the following leased it? So the correct option would be Job Charnock. He was the one English merchant who leased these 3 villages. At that time Kolkata was actually just a small village, and then after that what happened, Fort William was established, and then this particular city called Kolkata is actually today's Calcutta. Okay, so I hope from today's session you have got at least a very important MCQs required to prepare for the upcoming CUET. And after looking at the videos, I have noticed that a lot of students, they watch our videos but do not like or neither subscribe. So I hope and I request all of you to please like and subscribe our channel, because if you will like and subscribe to us, then only we will be motivated to provide you more MCQs in the future and help students secure their seat in the top universities of this country. So help and support us, and in return we will also be providing you immense number of MCQ questions to practice with. Okay, so see you all again in the next live class. Till then, take care and all the best for your upcoming CUET. Bye bye.